During a family party, someone asked the wrong question. Then, during a family party, someone asked the wrong question. And the strange part was how normal it sounded when it was spoken. It was not sharp, not rude, not aggressive. It was the kind of question that had probably been asked 100 times before in 100 different living rooms. The kind of question people ask when they assume they understand a situation simply because it looks familiar. But this time, it landed differently. This time, it cracked something open that had been carefully sealed for years. Before getting into the story, a quick reminder for everyone watching. Subscribing to the channel is one of the simplest ways to support these real-life stories. It helps more than most people realize and allows this space to keep growing. Thank you to everyone who has already done that. Now let us begin. The party was hosted at the home of a distant relative, one of those large houses that becomes crowded the moment more than 10 people arrive. Food covered the counters, chairs were pulled in from every room, and conversations overlapped in that constant low hum unique to family gatherings. Kids ran through the hallway, adults talked louder than necessary, and everyone pretended they were more relaxed than they actually were. The couple arrived together, as they always did. 8 years married, together for nearly 12. They knew how to navigate these events smoothly. Smile, greet everyone, answer the same questions, leave at a reasonable hour. From the outside, there was nothing remarkable about them. They did not argue in public. They did not cling to each other either. They existed side by side in a way that looked stable, calm, and unproblematic. What no one noticed was how little they spoke to each other that night. They moved through the house independently, occasionally making eye contact, exchanging polite smiles. It was subtle, easy to miss, especially in a room full of distractions. But the distance was there. As dinner wrapped up and people settled into small clusters, the conversation turned predictable. Someone complained about work. Someone else joked about getting older. Then the questions about life milestones began, as they always do. Promotions, houses, vacations, and eventually, children. An older relative leaned forward, smiling warmly, and asked when they were finally going to start a family. It was said lightly, almost affectionately. A few people chuckled. Someone nodded knowingly, as if this was the most natural thing in the world to ask. The husband smiled automatically. It was a reflex built over years. The wife hesitated for just a second too long. She laughed softly and said something vague about how life was busy and timing was complicated. Normally, that would have been enough. Normally, the conversation would have moved on. But someone else added another comment, meant as encouragement, about how there was never a perfect time and how it always worked out in the end. That was when something shifted. The wife set her glass down carefully, like she did not trust her hands to hold it anymore. Her voice, when she spoke again, was calm. But there was an edge underneath it that made a few heads turn. She said they were not waiting. The room grew quiet in that slow, creeping way where people sense something is off but do not yet understand why. Someone cleared their throat. Someone else glanced toward the kitchen. She continued, explaining that they had been trying for years, that it was not a secret, just something they did not talk about. She said it plainly, without anger, without accusation, as if stating a fact she had repeated to herself many times. Then she said there had been losses. That word hung in the air longer than anything else she had said. Losses. Plural. The husband looked at her sharply, his expression shifting from surprise to concern. He had not expected this moment to happen here, in front of everyone. His mouth opened slightly, as if to stop her, but no sound came out. She explained how every doctor's appointment brought hope followed by disappointment, how every test felt like waiting for a verdict, how the silence afterward was the hardest part. She talked about how people assume trying is exciting, when often it is exhausting, how grief can exist even when there was never a baby to hold. Some people looked at her with sympathy. Others looked away, embarrassed, realizing too late that they had crossed an invisible line. The relative who asked the question began apologizing repeatedly, voice shaking, insisting there was no intention to hurt anyone. The wife nodded, acknowledging the apology, but she did not backtrack. She said she understood that no one meant harm, but that these questions never felt harmless. She said that every time it came up, it reopened something she worked very hard to keep closed. The husband finally spoke then. His voice was quieter than usual. He said he thought keeping things private was protecting her. That he believed not talking about it was the respectful thing to do. That he did not realize how alone she felt carrying it. She turned toward him, eyes glossy but steady. She said privacy was not the same as isolation. That sharing pain did not make it heavier. It made it survivable. That she needed to know he was standing with her, not just beside her. No one interrupted. No one laughed. The party, which had been loud and full minutes earlier, felt frozen in place. Gradually, people began to drift away, murmuring apologies and excuses. Some hugged her gently. Others avoided eye contact entirely. The energy never recovered. Plates were cleared in silence. Music was turned off. When they left, the night air felt heavier than it should have. They sat in the car for several minutes before starting the engine. The conversation that followed was raw and uneven. There was frustration on both sides. He admitted he avoided the topic because it made him feel helpless, like he was failing at something he could not fix. She admitted she stopped bringing it up because she felt like she was burdening him. They realized they had both been trying to protect each other in ways that ended up creating distance instead. In the weeks that followed, the fallout from the party lingered. Family members reached out, some apologetic, some awkward, unsure what to say now that the truth was out. A few people said nothing at all, perhaps uncomfortable with the reminder that not every story fits neatly into expectations. The couple began talking more openly, not just about fertility, but about everything that had gone unsaid over the years. The quiet resentments, the assumptions, the moments where each believed the other understood without ever confirming it. It was not easy. Some conversations ended in silence. Others ended in tears. But for the first time in a long time, nothing felt hidden. They decided together how much they wanted to share going forward. Boundaries were set. Questions were no longer answered politely just to keep the peace. Invitations were declined when they did not have the energy. The wrong question had exposed a wound, but it also forced honesty into a place where it had been missing. Months later, they were not magically healed. The future was still uncertain. But they had learned something important. Silence can look like strength, but it often creates space for pain to grow, unchecked. Speaking up does not always fix things, but it changes the direction they move in. That family party was never spoken about again directly, but its impact stayed with everyone who witnessed it. Some learned to think twice before asking personal questions disguised as small talk. Others learned that smiling couples can still be struggling. And two people learned that protecting a relationship sometimes means letting others see the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. If this story resonated or reminded you of something real, share your thoughts in the comments. These stories matter because they happen quietly, every day, in rooms full of people who think they already understand each other. If you appreciate honest, real-life storytelling, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories like this.